All right, so the Niners are done with minicamp. They ended a week early. They go back to training camp at the end of July. Let's talk about logistics. I mean, people might want to know, what are the 49ers doing right now? Well,
Yeah, okay.
I believe some players have the option to stay for another week since they ended things early. But essentially, by the end of this week, everyone's going to split up, go their separate ways, and continue to work out on their own. They don't just go on vacation. This is not the time to vacation. You vacation after the season. This is when people do a lot of conditioning, and when Trey Lance is going to continue to work on mechanics and stuff with his private tutors. So it's a key part of the offseason.
And when do they go to minicamp?
Training camp, they go back to training camp
Training
in
camp,
about
I'm
6
sorry.
weeks. So it'll
In
be
about
like
6
July
weeks.
29th usually. And what they'll do is they will install the offense all over again. So they'll do what they did in OTAs and training in minicamp uh, all over again. And so all these players they should be better. They should have done this before. So it'll be interesting.
Okay, just some nuts and bolts before we get to our topics. When training camp starts, are you finally allowed into the locker room then?
No, it doesn't work that way. What the Niners usually do is they will wait until they've cut the roster down to 53 players.
Fair enough.
Right, because there's a ton of people in the locker room.
And then at that point, you'll be able to go in there.
You know how it works in training camp? I think sometimes they're like sharing lockers in training camp, the
Sure.
undrafted free agents. So yeah, eventually, like mid-August, late August, I'll be in the locker room for the first time in 2 years.
For the first time in 3 years.
Well, yeah, since before the pandemic.
Yeah. And what difference does that make in your coverage that you're allowed into the locker room?
Well, you get to know the players that you cover. Like I used to be able to sit and talk to Richard Sherman just about anything. He would sit at his locker and want to talk to reporters not off the record, just talk to reporters in like non-interview settings because he's in his 30s and a lot of players on the team are in their 20s, and it seemed like he was interested in talking to reporters. There are players like that. I think Trent Williams would probably be like that. You know what I mean? Like the off the record conversations where you get to know a player helps.
Brent Jones was like that. Steve Young was like that. Ronnie Lott was like that.
Yeah.
You could talk to Ronnie. He was sitting there. You could talk to this great Hall of Fame player all the time.
Yeah. And so that'll be interesting. And then, it's just been such a long time since I've been in the locker room. I'm a whole different person now. I mean, not a different person, but I have a different platform now. The players know who I am. It's going to be interesting to see how many more players, have something to say. And I think that'll be interesting how me and the players sort of learn to coexist in a new way.
Yeah, there may be some tension with you at first, but I want to emphasize to our viewers that goes away pretty quickly because players are concerned with making the team and being a team, and if they're concerned with Iggy, they have all the wrong priorities. One final question before we move on: is Juszczyk available? Does he like to sit and chat?
Absolutely, Juszczyk is always there. Juszczyk is one of the best because he I don't know if I've talked about this with you before, but he rarely gets questions about himself. He stands there to talk about the team, the offense, other players, the running backs, and he loves to do it. He's really smart. He's really articulate, and he's very generous with his time and insights. It's very nice.
I think if possible, you should try to get his his cell number.
Okay.
And I think you should ask him questions about himself.
I'd love to. Yeah.
What is he most proud of in his own game?
Yep.
What does he take the most pride in?
Yep.
Does he consider himself an elite player?
Yep.
He's a Harvard guy. I don't know Harvard guys, but I know Stanford guys. They love to talk about things like that.
Yep.
And they're honest about themselves.
Great idea.
Did I ever tell you, I'm meandering a little today. When I was graduating from Lafayette College in 1966, I applied to all the big English departments in America, and I got rejected at Harvard and Yale. Thank God I went to Stanford. Thank God. But on one road trip, the Niners were playing in New England, and I was staying in Boston, and I got there a few days early. So I went over to Harvard, to Cambridge, and to see what it was like, the school I got rejected at,
Yeah.
So I went, and Iggy, I don't think you've ever been there, but it's this sort of like almost red purplish brick. And it looked like my elementary school, PS 193 on Avenue L in Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. Wow. And I thought, I already went to PS 193. I'm glad I didn't go there. I went to Stanford.
Yeah, I went to UCLA, which is gorgeous, but it's a very small. I think it's the smallest UC campus. Going to Stanford is amazing because it's like a city for like 4,000 people. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
There's like no one there. You saw there's a person walking around. He's one of the 4,000 people that gets to experience this lovely place.